Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So today we're in my laboratory and we're experimenting with foiling on the Tim Holtz vintage labels that came out recently. And so I just thought I'd play around and see what we get. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so I'll be using my Spellbinders Glimmer machine here, and I've got the Tim Holtz vintage labels that you can put ink on and ink up the labels as you cut them out. And I'd like to experiment a little bit with foiling them. So here they are. Here's some that I've already foiled, and we're going to foil some together. As you can see, they've got a little sort of flat ridge right here that typically would foil. So that's what we're going to do. And I'll show you some that worked well and some that didn't. I did use hammer mill 100 pound for every one of them. So you experiment with whatever paper you have. And you can see that there's just a little bit of overfoiling, but it's actually pretty good. And you can erase that overfoiling. It's just going to depend, and I'll show you lots of different ways that I did it. And there's one spot that wants to underfoil no matter what I do. So, and here's the smaller circle. It came out pretty good. And then the real small ones I felt really aren't suited for foiling. They're just, the little lines in them are just too small. It's too easy to skip. But the ones with the larger lines, and this one's way overfoiled, which you can clean that up, of course. And this one here, that was my fault because I laid another piece of foil over it in the machine. So, but I really like the way the long ones come out. And here's one of the ovals. It does skip. You have to experiment with moving the dies around in different directions. And again, here's one of the smaller ones where it kind of underfoils a little, which I'm not mad, not at all. It does give it that kind of beat up vintagey look that, you know, would go with vintage label, but just in case you wanted to use them so not so vintage, I just wanted to go ahead and experiment for you, and then you can go have a play with it. Really neat little labels. I really like this. I haven't even tried them with ink. I just got them yesterday. So, and I spent most of the time cutting out little envelopes and slides and things. That one's overfoiled, is easily cleaned up. So we'll go ahead and get started here. So my glimmer machine's hot, and I'm going to start with the large rectangle. I'm just going to lay it down on my glimmer machine, and I'm going to lay it in a kind of catty corner here so that it gets the best pressure. And I'm going to lay a piece of foil across it, and then I'm going to lay my piece of paper right on top. So we want to make sure you're doing shiny side down on your foil. And again, I'm using the hammer mill paper, and I am going to work with some shims here because I've done them already, so I know that some of them require different types of shim, depends. So this here is 300 GSM watercolor paper. And I'll take and run this one through twice, so I'll go forward and backward, and we'll see what we get. All right, I'm going to carefully pull it out. And I'm going to place it in my big shot. And I am running incredibly slow on the first pass. I don't want to hurry at all. Want to make sure that I get good even pressure and that I get that foil to stick to where I want it to stick. And hopefully not stick where I don't want it to stick. So I'm going to pull it back through slowly here. And then we'll do the reveal. It's a lot of fun doing a lot of experiments like this. You know, just if you've got the tools, play with them. I like to say if you've got the toys, play with them, because to me this is all fun. All right, so I'm just going to let that cool for a second, and I'm going to leave that down here a little bit. Maybe not. Okay, maybe I'm not. I think I'll end up putting it back down. Let's see what we get. So we got pretty heavy overfoiling going twice with the 300 GSM watercolor. And I'm just using, this is just a little, oh, what do you call it? You know, when you're going through a stencil brush, that thing. and just trying to brush off some of the excess. But I want to try again, and I'm going to try with a regular shim, like just a regular piece of cardstock, probably 100 pound. So let's cut another piece of foil here, and I'm going to go with the silver again. And let's lay another piece of paper, and my cut paper is almost gone, so I'll be getting out a big piece and just cutting little pieces off of it, which is really ideal. So this is just regular cardstock. I want to say it's Bristol Smooth 100 pound, but it might be Simon Hurley Stark White. I don't know. I just grabbed a piece that I had gotten dirty. So I put that in my platform. I set the timer, and I didn't need to have you guys watch the timer blink, so I cut those parts out. There's no point in that, right? And just, you see again how slow I'm actually going with this. Incredibly slow. Like snail speed slow. Just to make sure, you know, again, that I make contact with all those surfaces, because they're just ever so slightly lower than a regular foil die. So let's see what we get with this. Cool it off here for a second, and we'll do a reveal. Now, I am by no means a foiling expert. Just let's get that out of the way. Again, to me, these are toys and I'm playing. So I'm not mad at how that came out. Came out pretty good. I'm just using my stencil brush, which is a very stiff bristled brush, to brush off any excess. And that outside edge will cut out, so I'm not worried about that in the slightest. But I'm happy with that, how that came out. That's just perfect. For me, anyway. Yeah, maybe I'm not such a foiling snob. No, I definitely am. So let's go ahead and try the circle. Excuse me. And I'm just placing it right in the middle there. It doesn't really matter where you put it. Just kind of, there's that little kind of OCD thing that you get. Like, it feels weird to set it off to the side. Maybe you don't know what I'm talking about, but I digress. Let's get some red foil here since Christmas is coming. Oh gosh, I hate saying that in July. You know I do. But you know, all of our companies are coming out with all the holiday stuff, and so it's just a gentle reminder, or not so gentle. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a piece of this hammer mill cardstock that I have here. I'm just going to kind of guess. If it's too small, it's too small. It's just paper. And trust me, as a junk journaler, every piece of paper that I mess up still gets used. So, you know, it's fodder. So I'm go ahead and am doing the regular cardstock on this one. Set the timer. All right, timer's done. Through the magic of editing, let's run it through the machine. Okay, real slow again, snail's pace. And I didn't speed this up because I wanted you to see how slow that I actually go. How slow can you go? Pretty slow. All right, so I ran that through and I wanted to try it with just one pass. So rather than back and forth, just one pass. Honestly, a lot of foiling with different foils and different dyes just takes experimentation. Now that one's my fault because my foil was funky on that side. I had set myself up a little thing that I thought was really cool, but it's actually a pretty bad idea. So don't do what I did. Foiled pretty good, not mad at all. And again, that outer ring cuts out. And when you go to die cut this, it actually, you can kind of feel sort of a groove, and I'll demonstrate that when I'm done foiling here. So now we've got a foiled circle. Let's do another one. And I think I felt like it underfoiled at a part there. So I'm going to try the watercolor cardstock again, because it's heavier. And two, when you're using the, let me just get that loose piece off before it makes me crazy. When you're using these, they do have a cutting edge on them. And so by having a shim in there, it really kind of prevents it from trying to cut into your plate. All right, so let's cut this foil to fit. Again, nothing goes to waste here. I don't care how many things I mess up, they find a home. That's a good reason to start junk journaling if you don't already. Or just making collage for whatever reason, tags, cards, whatever. All right, let's grab that watercolor cardstock here. Actually, nope, I'm using the regular cardstock. Sorry about that, my bad. And let's set the timer. I'm gonna pass twice. So again, this is part of the experimenting. And I hold down with my claw, I hold down the platform so that it doesn't move when I'm pulling it off the plug. So I'm gonna go super slow. And I'm gonna come back. And I stop when I hear it or feel it kind of pass over that spot. I don't see any point in going any further. All right, let's see what we got by doing 2 passes. All right, I got pretty close to the edge there of that foil. But you see there where it kind of underfoiled, that's the spot I'm looking at. That's the sweet or the not so sweet spot. And sometimes it's just going to be a matter of where your machine puts the most pressure, because every machine's different. So this one, not bad. Still underfoiled in that one spot though. And it's almost like it's not hitting whenever I'm running it through the Big Shot. So I'm going to try it once more. Let's just make sure this piece of paper is going to fit. And this time I'll try it with the 300 GSM watercolor paper. See if I have any better luck in that one spot. And you'd think that my brain would say, well, let's try turning the die. But if it's a spot on the die itself, then it doesn't matter which way you turn it. All right, let's get our foiling paper on there. And I just kind of feel around for the edges a little. Place my paper down. Let's get the watercolor cardstock. You could try more shims, less shims, different kinds of paper. You know, sky's the limit. You do have to, with any kind of die, especially if it's not one you're familiar with, you have to feel around and see what fits. So I'm going extra slow this time, like we're talking. I do not have this slowed down. I am just slow, slow, slow. And you see what I'm doing here with my fingers is I'm holding down the bottom because I don't want it to jump, because in case what's happening there is it's jumping in the platform. And I think it jumped anyway. So I'm just doing one pass with the watercolor. Let's see what we get. Maybe a little bit better. Let me just remove. And by the way, those dies are hot. I'm one of those weird people that likes to stick my fingers in hot wax, so the heat just doesn't bother me. I don't know what kind of weird genetic thing that is, but it happens. So this is overfoiled, but I'm not mad because that can be easily cleaned up. As long as you have a clean mono sand eraser. You'll see a little bit later me trying to clean one up and I just make a mess because my mono sand eraser has ink on it. So, you know, lesson learned, clean it off before you stick it to your white paper. So I scrubbed off a lot of it just with that little rough brush there. You see, I'm sorry, I'm sort of off camera here. I'm going to take my pen and I'm just going to mark this paper so you can see. So 300 GSM is about 130 pounds. And then I just marked that I did one pass on the circle one, and that's just kind of for my own brain, even though I'll probably lose that piece of paper because it's in my nature. All right, so let's try this oblong one. I think this one's my favorite. I don't know. Why would it be my favorite? I don't know. I just like it. So So I'm just going to cut another piece of this hammer mill paper. Just make sure it's going to fit on there. And I'm going to go with the silver. And I'm using glimmer foil, by the way. You use what foil you have. It does need to be hot foil because this is a hot foiling machine. You're going to place it shiny side down. I'm going to place my paper on. So again, I felt like this worked better with the larger dies because they have a larger surface to create that pressure, versus the smaller ones, they don't have a big surface. So they're gonna foil, but they'll foil grungy. We don't mind. I like grungy, so that's okay. But if I didn't like grungy, then, you know, I would probably work harder to figure out a way to do them. I can't be asked, you know. I'm more likely to use the bigger labels than I am the smaller ones if I'm going to be foiling. All right, let's see what we got. We did one pass, 300 GSM watercolor paper as a shim. We used hammer mill. We've got our little label here. We're going to just cool it a little bit. Try to be patient, lose our patience. It's looking not bad. Looks like it probably went. Let's see here. We got just a wee bit of underfoiling and a wee bit of overfoiling. Not too much overfoiling, mostly underfoiling. So you see that spot right there? I think I need to go a little bit more. I think I need to do a double pass here. So we'll try that. And I'm going to use the same foil, everything the same. All right, take two. So I'm doing this so you don't have to. You can just sit down and do it. But again, everybody's machine's different. Maybe you have a Spellbinders machine. Maybe you have a Vagabond. It'll work in the Spellbinders. It'll work in the Vagabond. I can't answer about the Cuttlebug because I don't have one. It's definitely not going to work in your Gemini. All right, so let's do a double pass on this bad boy. Y'all, it's been so hot, so hot. Right now, I don't have my window unit in my air so that my voiceover doesn't sound so noisy. And luckily, this isn't a super long video, so I don't have to sit here with it off for too long. And I'm going slow both ways, and I'm kind of putting a little pressure on the edge of that plate just to kind of keep it even. All right, let's see what we get. So again, I had that one sort of catty corner. And maybe it looks a little better. It looks fairly tight, you know, with foil on top. We'll just have to see when we pull the foil. And what do we have? Still just with a little bit of underfoiling in that one spot. Still, I'm not mad, but I'm going to try something else. I'm going to try maybe going that direction. You know what? I think I will try straight up and down and see if the pressure is better. So I'll put it just straight up and down. And I don't know why, but I have to have it even with those little grid marks. It's just, again, that little OCD brain. And I don't care that my foiling friend is all beat up. It doesn't matter, but I do have to have that straight on there since I'm trying to go straight. I'll go ahead and cut a piece of paper again. And there's a reason for that, and I'll show you after I do this one what my plan is. So I'm going again with the 300 GSM cardstock, which is watercolor. If you have straight cardstock, that's fine too. You could do two, or an 80 pound and a 40 pound, or, you know, experiment. Play. All right, here we go. Nice and slow. really, really slow, extremely slow. It does take patience, and you know what, too, y'all, it's too hot to foil. I mean, it's really early in the morning when I started doing this, so it hasn't gotten hot yet. But I live in Alabama, and it is the heat here is a humid hot. So when it's 93 outside, it feels like 106. And our poor regular whole house unit can't keep up at all. It just costs us a fortune to not cool. So we have window units, and we don't even use it, only for heat in the winter, which is different, but yeah. All right, so it looks to me like it did a way better job foiling, going straight up and down. Again, overfoiling, not mad. I can handle that. That's terrific. I love it. So let's do a little experiment here. What I have here is I have a little sentiment from the Glimmer of the Month Club kit last month. It says seize the day, which I like. I like that saying. So I'm just putting a little bit of removable adhesive on it so it doesn't jump around, and I'm lining it up with the center line on my foiling friend. And then I'm going to go ahead and just line up this die around it. And I'll tell you what we learned from this experiment, once I get it going, is stand up when you're putting it on there so you get it on there even, because I didn't. I mean, I got it on even top to bottom, but I didn't get it even side to side. So we're going to grab a piece of gold foil, and we're going to see if we can foil this sentiment right inside of that little vintage label. I don't know what's going on there. I must be looking for paper. Nope, I'm trying to cut some gold foil that's clean. All right. Make sure that's on there straight. And I had put a little bit of that removable adhesive on that as well so it doesn't jump. And I'm going to go ahead and just cut down a piece of paper, because we will cut this out, of course, with the die cutter. All right, let's do our watercolor paper. And here's the thing. The Glimmer foil dies don't really need a shim. So I think that's where the problem here is, because you'll see that it's incredibly overfoiled, and my removable tape is right there. I'm going to just knock it off because I don't see it until I'm looking at it right now. There it goes. Bye. Oh, sloppy crafters, you just can't live with them. One, it doesn't hurt anything. It's just falling half an inch to the, or maybe 1 inch to the glass mat. And snail speed, sloth speed. I like sloths better than snails, so we're going to go with sloth. Not a big fan of snails at all, or anything slimy like that. All right, let's pull and see what happens. I mean, it looks good from this point of view, but you'll see, because the again, the die is a little bit higher on the seize the day, and I can erase away most of that overfoiling, so it's not a huge deal. The only reason I wouldn't use this is because I got it crooked on the, not crooked, but not the same distance side to side. So what we're going to do then is this. Because that sits higher and I still want to foil one of these, I'm going to take some of this leftover foil and I'm going to lay it down. Now I'm going to take one of the ones I've already cut out and kind of match it up in there. And no shim or anything. Maybe this is the one I got crooked. I don't know. I got one of them crooked-ish. But see, it fits right in that foil space, so you can, there's no way to really mess it up. So again, these particular dies don't require any shims. And so the only way it's really going to foil perfectly is if I foil after the fact onto the already cut label. So letting the timer go this time, because yeah, I forgot to edit that out. So here's this one, and I'm just taking my sand eraser here and just kind of erasing the excess foil. And it cleans up. Cleans up pretty good. I think it'd be great if some of my other favorite makers made more foil dies, especially words, because I'm, not a big cursive person. I'm more of a Tim Holtzy type person. All right, so this is done. Let's run it through the Glimmer, or run it through the Big Shot. And the only reason I don't run it through my Vagabond is because I feel like I have more control running it through a hand crank machine. One of these days I'll get one of those foldaways. And the other thing is this one has the extra long platform, so I can't cut things out right here on this desk with that platform because it's too long. That's fine. I'm not mad. See, there's the one. Yeah, it came out really good. I just didn't get it centered in the label. That's fine. All right, so I'm going to clean up and we're going to do some cutting here. And I don't mind again. Oh yeah, one more thing. Let's use some of that extra foil because why not? I've got a smaller circle and that's going to cover that circle. So I'll go ahead and get this one dyed and trimmed. Let's go ahead and cut a piece of paper. I didn't really want to cut into that paper yet, but that's all right. I just want to make sure that I use the excess foil here. And I'm just kind of feeling where the die is, laying my paper down, and I'll do my watercolor cardstock. I think I'm going to get a fresh piece because this one's starting to dent up here. So I'll grab a fresh piece and I'll use that dented up one for some ink smushing. All right, so we've got that one gone through the timer. And we're going to go ahead and run it through the machine. Slowly. So I used to live in a little town in California called Eureka. And man, did they have some slugs there. They used to be on our door. And oh my gosh, these big old yellow, scary, horrifying little creatures. And I had a stepdad or uncle or, one of those things that our parents had in the 70s. He used to put salt on it. Oh, that was gross. That was just gross. I digress. Let's get off the grossness. So that one, not bad. It's a little overfoiled, but it can be cleaned up. So I like to clean it up first with my little stencil brush. And this, I think, is just a little Waverly stenciling brush that I picked up somewhere. It's got nice stiff bristles on it. But those other spots I'm going to need to erase. And this is where my eraser's a mess. So I just move on from there. I'm going to go ahead and cut this out, and I'm using my Sidekick, and all of these will fit on the Sidekick. And there's a little groove that you can fit the die into, and it cuts them out perfectly. So, and I did speed this up because, we're just cutting things out. So I'm just fitting that into the groove. And if it moves around on you, put some tape on it, because some of them do move on me. The larger circle does. Look how easy those cut out in the Sidekick. Now I do have those new extended plates for the Sidekick. Don't necessarily need them for this, but it's what was in front of me. So that barely fits, but it does fit and it does work. Just so you know, because yeah, see that one I kind of got off because I wasn't feeling around good enough. So I'm just going to kind of trim it so it'll fit here, so the paper doesn't stick out the sides. There we go. Now I'm going to find my groove and I'm going to tape it down because it had moved on me. Nope, not going to tape it down. All right. Yep, better tape it down because it's moving. You can find the groove, but it will move if you're not careful. So I'll just run that through the Sidekick. There we go. Done. All right, let's do the rectangle. Will it fit? Yes, it will. So I'm just going to trim the sides of that so that it'll fit, you know, within the confines of the sidekick. And I will go ahead and just utilize that same piece of tape and tape it down. Put my sandwich together and cut it out. I love, love, love my sidekick. Look how dirty it is. You can tell how much I love it because there's paper debris all over it. All right, so we've got these are the ones that I did earlier this morning, just experimenting. Let me zoom in here, and I'm sorry when I zoomed in, you really can't see, but I wanted to show you how they foil up close and personal. So really, I mean, try it if you have a glimmer machine or if you have the other machine whose name I can't think of. Try it. So I'm going to cut out that Seize the Day one. And I'm sorry, again, I'm off camera, but you'll see part of what I'm doing here because I forgot to zoom back out. You know, making videos isn't that easy, especially you have to work today too, so I'm kind of trying to rush things here. But I've got that cut out. Now I'm going to get my mono sound eraser and I'm going to take my fingernail and I'm going to scrub off the excess ink that's on there. And I'm just going to clean this up some. And you see all that extra foil is erasing away. No problem. And then I'll just, I'll take and ink that up. And there we go. So, that's it. I hope that this video is helpful for you. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you don't have these dies, they are the vintage frames. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. Thanks so much for watching and supporting my channel. Have a great day.